what happens if I do get a squatter? My unit's vacant, someone gets in there, and I can't rent it. Saying you prevent squatters is one thing, but then backing it with a major insurance carrier and providing those protections is a whole different thing. I'm John Higgins. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Steady. Our mission is to provide residential fee-based property managers with institutional-grade solutions. Our owner benefit package is a set of data, financial, and insurance solutions that are completely white-labeled for the property manager. The core set of services that we deliver today includes rent protection, $1,000 of legal and eviction expense, real-time legislative updates on a state and national level, comparable leasing transactions, and then finally our rent advance product. We create all the marketing materials for the property manager, their brand, their logo, all the right contact information. We try to make it as seamless as possible to where we're just an extension of the property manager.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Beyond Rent. For those conducting third-party or fee-based management, the relationship you have with your property owners is critical to your success. And as you think about all the different services that you provide to those owners, you may want to put those into what's called an owner benefit package. To learn more about this concept, we have John from Steady joining us today. John, welcome to Beyond Rent.
Thanks for having us, Joe. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, glad you're taking some time away so we can learn more about how all this works and what this looks like and how these owner benefit packages really work in the industry and how people are implementing those. But before we get too far with that, let's learn more about you. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you're all about.
Sure. I'm John Higgins. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Steady. And at Steady, our mission is to provide residential fee-based property managers with institutional grade solutions. And the way we do that is through our owner benefit package, which includes data, financial, and insurance products that we've created with some of the leading institutions in the world.
That's great. And how long have you been doing that with Steady?
So we launched the owner benefit package in March of 22, but prior to that, Steady's been around since 2018, really listening to feedback from the residential property management space and iterating our products to find the best solutions to meet our property management customers' needs, but also the needs of their underlying clients.
Absolutely. And I always love hearing stories of how things evolve over time. And I think we'll talk a little bit about that through the conversation because we can't stay, still, right? We have to be moving, changing our products and our offerings to make sure that we're evolving over time. And I guess tell me a little bit about how you got into the property management industry to begin with. Is this kind of your first opportunity to work in this industry, or have you had other exposure into property management in the past?
So Steady was my first foray into the property management ecosystem. And to be honest, I love it. The property management ecosystem, really our customers, they're all entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs are great to speak with. They come up with great ideas, have different solutions. But prior to founding Steady, I used to work in financial technology. I helped scale one of the largest online consumer lenders. And before that, I worked in the traditional hedge fund industry. But as I said, what's really exciting is kind of this confluence of technology and data and kind of risk products and financial products coming together, powered by great technology and great thoughtful integrations, such as the one that we have with Rent Manager.
Yeah, that's great. And, when I talk to different people, some of them come within the industry and they kind of rise up and say, hey, I can solve traditional problems in new ways because I have all this experience in property management. While other people come from outside of our industry and say, hey, are you aware that other people are doing things in different ways? Or they have, like you said, experience maybe in fintech, things like that. It can bring fresh new ideas to our industry. So it's always great to see new people coming around and providing those ideas and those concepts to help really everyone get better. So I love it. Well, let's jump into learning more about this. I think for a lot of our listeners, they probably understand somewhat of an owner benefit package. They maybe have heard the term, but if they haven't implemented one yet, maybe they don't have a full idea of what it is. So can you give us the rundown? What really is an owner benefit package?
Sure. So at Steady, our owner benefit package is a set of data, financial, and insurance solutions that are completely white labeled for the property manager, and we integrate into their core software to allow them to provide these services in a seamless manner. Our view is that it's their customer, so it should be their brand, their reputation, and their relationship, and we should just be behind the scenes for the most part, allowing them to receive a lot of the benefits. And so in the owner benefit package that we offer, the core set of services that we deliver today includes rent protection up to 2 months of lost rent. It's covered through an insurance program we run behind the scenes through one of our subsidiaries with the Fortune 100 carrier. $1,000 of legal and eviction expense, and that number may increase over time as well. Real-time legislative updates on a state and national level that are, again, delivered to the property manager's owner client to keep them informed about what's happening legislatively that would impact their ownership and rental of their unit, and keep them apprised of any potential changes coming. We also include comparable leasing transactions. So we have a report builder functionality where property managers, if they need to build comps and provide to their owners, they can do so right through our software. And then finally, our rent advance product, which allows owners to pull forward up to 12 months of rent in a non-recourse transaction, which is available, delivered through their property manager, again, fully white labeled and branded for their property manager. And, of those solutions, we've created a majority of them from scratch, and just listening to feedback and hearing from the market what the market wants and finding creative solutions to solve those pain points.
Yeah, and I always love the idea of bringing multiple products and features and benefits together because a lot of people want some of these things, or maybe they aren't even aware some exist, but when you put them together, they can feel like there's greater value in general to what you're bringing there. And when you started talking through some of those pieces, especially one that stood out to me is understanding what's happening maybe with different legal situations or regulations. Tell me more about that one specifically, because I feel like that is something that as we operate our businesses, we're not always thinking about those things, and they can really sneak up on us.
They can. And as we all saw during COVID, the government took broad actions to help, renters and then downstream, I guess, owners benefited as well from all the stimulus and all the rental payment programs. But when you look, there's the rental housing and management of residential units is highly complex from a regulatory perspective because you're subject to federal, state, and many instances local law. And so really what's important is, as the professional property manager, you want to be that source of truth for your owners and that trusted advisor. And so what we do is help empower the residential property manager to really convey that they have a full understanding of what's going on, and even legislation that may not even pass yet, so their owners stay informed. What that does is help strengthen that relationship between the property manager and the underlying owner, their client, because this is the type of information that the owner would never otherwise receive, and helps them, feel comfortable, sleep well at night, knowing that they've got someone whose sole job is to care for, maintain, and manage what is likely the largest asset that they own, or one of the largest assets that they own.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard from multiple people that there really needs to be an evolution in how professional property management works. And I think a lot of places that it starts is managing with the mindset that you're going to help with collecting rent and getting maintenance completed, right? It's kind of like the bare bones, and that's kind of maybe what the industry was founded on. But most owners need a lot more than that. That maybe is what they're trying to solve for day one. But as they evolve as a property owner, they want more. Is that really what you're seeing as well?
100%. They want a more complete offering, and they want different service levels and different service sets and solutions. And, with that, what you see actually is when owners have the owner benefit package available to them, we actually see that there's a reduction in churn. And it makes sense because the reason people are churning from property managers is largely financial. They either have an unexpected maintenance expense that they need to come up with, they have a tenant default, and they're not collecting rental income, or they have a large eviction expense. And so those are all financial events that force that unit to churn. Otherwise, they could just keep it and build wealth. And so OBP is really structured in such a way to provide this data and insights, but as well as protections to eliminate those concerns and give that owner peace of mind. So, we found it to be quite effective in doing so and reducing churn, that is.
So with that idea of reducing churn in these financial situations that can come about and really challenge that property owner, these aren't just evictions. These aren't just large maintenance issues, right? It can be a number of different things that come around. So I guess maybe recap a little bit about those financial services that you offer and how it protects them against each one, because there was a few different things in there that you mentioned that can come into play based on the type of financial pressure that that owner comes under.
Yeah, and so a lot of this industry has been built on kind of the mom and pop or small landlord and onesie twosies. So if you've got, say, 1,000 units that you own and manage, and your tenant doesn't pay rent, it's not a big deal. Yes, you want everyone paying rent, but you've got diversification. If you only have 1 or 2 units, it really becomes painful. And what was a cash flowing asset now becomes negative carry, meaning you're paying money each month to support that investment. And at a certain point, people don't wish to support it and will choose to sell the unit or do something else. And so that's one instance, is the non-payment of rent by a tenant where you've got this negative carry. Next is an eviction expense. So the tenant stops paying rent, needs to be evicted. Now the owner has to come out of pocket when the tenant's not paying rent. Again, negative cash flow. And guess what? They might be upset with the property manager because the property manager likely placed that tenant. And so it creates this friction where they're saying, hey, I'm losing and this is your fault. With the owner benefit package, they don't have that. And then finally, with the rent advance product, some owners want total peace of mind. And for that, we'll give them their full year's rent up front at a slight discount. We'll also advance the property manager their management fees. And that's a non-recourse transaction. So now we've isolated the tenant payment risk. We take that risk on. Owners fully paid for the year on the agreed upon terms. And now we're taking that risk on of the tenant paying rent. But because we operate with scale and all around the country, we're very comfortable with it. And we've been living and breathing that specific risk for the last 6 years.
Yeah, and that's great. And you mentioned this idea of if you have 1,000 units versus, a handful of units, your risk tolerance is just dramatically different, right? You don't have that diverse portfolio to cover one to the next. When you think about owner benefit packages, what is the scale where they fit best? Is it ones with a handful to dozens of units? Does it scale well to hundreds and thousands of units? Where does it really kind of find its niche?
So the owner benefit package in its current form is best suited for kind of owners with, call it, less than 20 units. There are solutions that can be delivered to owners with larger portfolios, but there's a different cost benefit analysis and pricing discovery process. When you think about it, if you only have 1 unit and you're saying, okay, it's going to be $40 a month for this, but it gives me all this protection and it pencils out. That's different than if I've got 100 units at $40 a month. It's just a different calculus, and also the risk tolerance is different. So we've really found our sweet spot is in that, call it 20 or less units. And our portfolio today is largely comprised of single family homes, which we like. We just like that asset and the type of occupants that it attracts.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed that out. Here at Rent Manager, we work with all types of segments in the industry, from single family, multifamily, and so forth. What I love is learning more about the different nuances from each one of those segments and how they get supported differently. And the fact that there are products out there really designed to help support each one of them. And so I really love when people like you come around and say, hey, we know we can help out in a very specific place that's probably underserved. Right. And I imagine that's really the story of Steady, is saying, hey, these people are underserved. They're at a higher risk. How can we take care of them?
That's 100% it. It's there's this massive market of professionally managed units and they're managed for the mom and pop landlord, but they're woefully underserved with regards to suitable solutions to mitigate risk. And what we found is we can partner with the property manager in a symbiotic relationship to where our products are actually only available through professional property managers because we need eyes on the asset. We need an established process, a professional in place to select tenants, evict poorly performing tenants, re-tenant. And we need, those trusted integrations with, say, Rent Manager to have that data and that source of truth. And that combination allows us to offer low-cost solutions that really solve big pain points for both the property owner and the property manager in a way that can still make business sense for us.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because some might say, well, why can't these property owners go out and do this on their own, right? Why can't these landlords go out and do this on their own? It's that scale, really, when you think about it, and the fact that you're working with these professional property management companies, that you have kind of this built-in, I guess, vetting process and how you're even approaching these owners.
Yeah, and I think it's that, and it's also, regulation. We work in highly regulated industries. Insurance is regulated in all 50 states plus DC, and financial products are regulated as well. And so there's a lot of time and effort that goes into building these types of products and programs. I know because we built them from scratch. And it doesn't necessarily likely make sense for a small residential property manager to try to go do this. But what is important for the small residential property manager, or even mid-size or large, is compliance. You're a licensed professional, depending on state, and your reputation is everything. And so we make sure that everything we do is in a compliant manner and that everything our customers are doing is in a compliant manner, because the last thing we want is our products to get any of our customers in any trouble with a regulator. So we've spent an inordinate amount of time and money to structure everything the right way.
Yeah, and those are some of the things you mentioned earlier, that working in this industry is so much fun because a lot of these, whether it be the property owners or the actual property management companies, these are business owners, right? They started a business on their own. They're really focused on that idea. And when you are trying to build a company from nothing, a lot of times you don't have the resources to go out there and build things like this and think about compliance and regulation. You're trying to be aware of it. You're trying to do your best, but you really need to partner with people that are experts that really know the industry and know those compliance and regulations. And that's why trusting partners like you is so key.
Yeah, but it's the same reason why someone doesn't just use Excel to manage their property management business. They need an integrated platform like Rent Manager that's going to help them do everything cradle to grave, track everything, and stay compliant with trust accounts and everything else they need to do as a real estate professional.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about the technology side. What can you share about technology on your side, and really where technology allows you to offer these owner benefit packages to these owners?
Sure. So we integrate into the software and we'll pull out all the relevant information to underwrite and price risk. So every unit that is added to our program is fully underwritten in real time. And then additionally, in order to provide the offering experience of the rollout of owner benefit package, so there's subscription management. So an owner can manage their subscription via our platform, via a link, very easily. But more important than that is the property manager, because of these integrations, gets a full view of everything going on in their portfolio as it relates to Steady or the owner benefit package, and also gives them full control. So they have visibility, transparency, and full control. That's what they really want, to be able to add or unsubscribe or subscribe units, or file claims if there's a loss event, or request another rent advance offer. And really what we're trying to do is empower that property manager to have a simple self-serve even platform. I don't know if you're like me, Joe, but I don't like talking to someone all the time. Sometimes I like going on and just figuring it out myself. And what we're increasingly doing is, taking customer feedback and improving the platform so that they have all the information at their fingertips. So whether they want to make a change at 4 in the morning or at 4 in the afternoon, they might not have to reach out to someone. And that's really our vision, is we want to be an extension of the property manager, and we want to make their lives easier and make their businesses better, generate higher revenue, greater profits, greater competitive differentiation, retain doors longer, etc.
That makes a lot of sense. And it is funny. I mean, I know we cross paths pretty often as we go to different conferences and trade shows and industry events. So we're both relatively social people, but there are those moments where you don't want to talk to somebody, right? You want technology to step in and make it easy and self-service. I mean, that's really is the ultimate goal of a lot of technology, is to make things easier for people. And that is where technology and integration step in to solve those pieces of it as well. So you want to lighten the wait as much as possible for the user.
Well, it's simple. Like, do you want to call a car to go to the airport, or do you want to use your Uber, or do you want to call for delivery, or are you going to pay the fee and just have Seamless do it? Maybe you're going to pay for it, or Uber Eats, right? It's convenience and using technology to allow people to consume your product or service in the way they want to. And so we're happy to speak with people, obviously, but we also want them to be empowered to where if they don't want to speak to someone, they don't need to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people want the easiest path forward. A lot of times it is self-service, right? And it's self-service in a way that's easy to use. And just a little bit ago, you actually referenced a piece of the technology that I think is important. You talked about using the property management company's branding and how these services are provided to the owner. Tell me more about that piece, because a lot of times people don't realize how much effort is needed on the technology side to really make pieces like that work, and also the benefit of that.
Yeah, so we create all the marketing materials for the property manager, their brand, their logo, all the right contact information. The emails go out to their owners from an email address associated with their company. And we try to make it as seamless as possible to where we're just an extension of the property manager. And so, because of that, also, it's very important that we deliver our services in a seamless manner because it could be a reflection on the property manager should there be a shortfall or an issue. So, we take that very seriously. But the benefit is now the property manager's customer, the owner of the asset, is not getting some email from some random company that they have no idea who they are and they're confused. Instead, they're saying, oh, this is for my property manager who's managing my asset. Okay. Oh, and if I have questions, I can find all sorts of information on it specifically, but also I can reach out to the property manager. Or I can go, who's the, it's will stay, say, powered by Steady at the bottom. They can come and look and say who's Steady, and they can reach out to us, and we're happy to talk to owners, which we do all the time. What we really want to do, again, is we essentially want to be this extension and deliver our services. And since we created our services, we're very well equipped to answer any questions around it. We want the property manager to do the 10,000 other tasks they have to complete that day because, they really are in a thankless job. Someone's always upset, the resident, the owner, or both. And they just have to deal with it and make everything work. And so we just want to make things really seamless when it relates as it relates to Steady and using our products.
Yeah, the property manager does sit in a position where they're always dealing with things or trying to solve things. And the last thing they want to do is take on products or services that makes their job any harder. So I really wonder how much work, how much effort is required for a property manager to implement and then continue to service a solution like an owner benefit package.
So for us, we continue to chip away at making it faster, easier, stronger. So, when we first launched the owner benefit package, we were doing everything offline because we said we're not going to build the tech to do it, in terms of creating invoicing and everything. So we're not going to build the tech to do it until we really understand how property managers want to use it and consume it. And so that's what led to the launch of the dashboard. To now the property manager has full visibility and control. Now we have property managers saying, hey, I want to bulk upload, you've sent me an invoice, but I want to bulk upload it. Okay, we'll deliver it to them in the right format so they can do that. Or if their software allows, do it via API. And so what we're really trying to do is make it really easy. And we think it is very easy for the property management customers today, but continue to innovate and continue to make it faster, better, stronger. So when they think Steady, my goal as the CEO and co-founder is, oh, those got great company, really easy to work with, handles everything, no problem. And invoicing, I know for a lot of vendors in the space has been an issue, and people have been around in fairly big companies. They don't have invoicing right or correct, or they're not no dashboard, no visibility. And so what we're really trying to do is listen to where people are having pain points and solve them using technology intelligently.
Yeah, I mean, it is common. People, I have heard that feedback in the past from a product here or there. I really loved the product, but there was always a caveat there of this didn't work right or that didn't work right. It was almost never the product, right? It's always one of these other things. It was the support. It was the invoicing side. It was one of those elements. And those elements of the experience really are important. Sometimes they're overlooked because it isn't the actual product itself, but it's all part of that overall experience. And you'd mentioned all these other things that we have access to these days when it comes to Uber and DoorDash, and people really are looking for higher levels of service and service that just works.
Yeah, convenience. Like when you order an Uber, you don't care about all the complex logistics going on. You care if you get to your destination on time and safely. And
100%.
that's how consumers are now, everyone used to a lot of convenience and things just working and not having to deal with anything. And to your point earlier, when we're talking to a property manager about an owner benefit package, they might say this is great, but if their operations team isn't on board or their operations team's fearful, that's not going to work. And that's why, are clear to outline all the things we do for the property manager and all the visibility and transparency they have so that it doesn't become an issue. And they realize that it really is the easy button and they don't have to worry about it. And their owners now have these protections in place and the peace of mind. And then they benefit from competitive differentiation and offering these solutions in their market.
Absolutely. And talking about, making sure it fits the operations and kind of fits the PMC, I wonder a little bit, you kind of have this package built out and you've been doing this for years. So I imagine it's well tuned at this point. But what happens if a specific property management company says, hey, we really like what you offer, but we only want a certain mix of your products. We don't want to use all of it. Is it at a point where there is customization, or have you done this long enough where you really have honed in like, hey, this is actually what works best and we know it works best and this is why? What's kind of the status there?
So there has been some customization, but the customization has really been around adding maybe their own features on top. And we're seeing that actually that was more prevalent when we first launched owner benefit package, to where now people are saying, okay, this is well defined, fully baked. We understand it. I think in the future, they'll then look to kind of the trusted advisor, which would be Steady in this example of, hey, how does this work? Or, and if they understand that we do this all around the country and are always, constantly launching all these PMs, they understand kind of best practices. Now, all that said, I think in the future you could see some additional levels of customization to where, we could further extend to where PMs are really building a more bespoke owner benefit package using the software and technology. We could only really facilitate that via tech, because once you start getting in, it's a lot of man hours to create materials, et cetera. But once we do it via tech, it'll be really seamless for the property manager and owners that they work with.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, one of the things that we always think about is where's the line between allowing a customer to customize a solution versus going so far that you actually make it more cumbersome for them to use, period. And when it comes to a product like yours, I can definitely see that, especially if there's any gaps in maybe coverage, if you remove this piece or that piece, and then you really kind of break the experience. And you go back to that trusted advisor idea. I hear a lot of property management companies that kind of work in that single family home space that are working with, landlords, property owners with, a handful to a dozen properties each. They are doing the same thing, right? They're really kind of coming up with what works best, and they want to work with property owners that fall in line with that thought process, with that idea.
Well, and not every client, like for your property manager, certain clients are not the right fit for you. Now, maybe they're cheapskates and they take forever to pay repairs, or they're very time consume. They consume a lot of time. They're always calling with a million questions. And what I found, I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of property managers over the years. It's ones that find their market and their focus are the ones that do best. There's a lot of wood to chop everywhere. I know as an entrepreneur, but finding your focus in your market is so important, because once you build your systems to support that and your operations and everything, it becomes much more easy and it runs much more like a machine as opposed to, you being a firefighter.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I would echo the exact same thing. Is the property management companies that are the most successful are the ones that have found, oh, these are the owners that fit best. They build systems around it, and then they scale relatively quickly at that point because they know what they do best, and they don't really waste their time with things that don't fit into that model. And I think the owner benefit package is a great example of that, right? That, hey, this is what works best. If your owners are in this classification, then they're probably going to like this and they're going to want this.
Yep, 100%. It's about identifying that, the ideal customer profile and, really serving that customer really well.
So that really leads me to my next thought is, what are the property management companies that have, I guess, the right characteristics to be a great user of an owner benefit package?
I mean, we have property management companies of all shapes and sizes, and we love all of our customers. Some we found have greater success, and one key metric to think about there is, what is the ratio of units to owners? And so if you have, 1,000 unit property manager with 10 owners controlling those 1,000 units, likely won't be as successful as a property manager that has 1,000 units with 990 underlying owners or 900 owners. And so we found that that's the ideal customer profile for our product set today. That said, we're always innovating. We have future products coming out that will serve a wider set of customers, and different pain points they may experience.
Yeah, and that's what was actually my next thought is, so what does it look like? You've built up this company, you're offering this, and you kind of understand who your target audience is today. But what's the future hold for an owner benefit package? What's kind of the direction you're heading next in the next year, 3 years as you continue to evolve?
Well, one area that's gotten a lot of attention and has created a lot of concern is squatters. So we're actually unveiling a product that will help identify and remove fraudulent listings that could lead to squatters, as well as insurance protections behind it. And so, we take it seriously, and saying you prevent squatters is one thing, but then backing it with a major insurance carrier, and providing those protections is a whole different thing. And again, it's on brand because what it is, it's a new product that doesn't exist that we're creating, with some of the largest, insurance markets or carriers in the world, rather. And it solves a pain point that's top of mind for all of these property owners. Because again, they're concerned. What happens if I do get a squatter? My unit's vacant, someone gets in there and I can't rent it, or they do some damage, or something else happens. They're panicked. And you have different areas of the country that are seeing a greater influx of squatters or fraudulent activity. But this is top of mind for a lot of people. And when we talk to all of our property managers, you bring it up, they say, yes, we've had that issue, or yes, we get phone calls all the time from our owners asking about it. And so what we want to do is empower that property manager and have them say, well, hey, we've got a solution for you, and it's first of its kind, and we've got it because we're XYZ property management and we're ahead of the curve. And by the way, the company down the street might not have it. And so you should go with us because we're going to give you that total security and peace of mind that when your asset is managed by us, it's completely safe, it's protected. And then beyond that, we'll continue to deliver, additional tech solutions and other fun things. It's really market driven. If you look at owner benefit package, we first had a rent default insurance program that we were running. And what we found is property managers were bundling our services into their own management tiers. And what we found was, okay, they're doing a lot of thinking about it and bundling it in, et cetera. Well, why don't we just build it for them? And so that's exactly how the owner benefit package came to be. Was, hey, let's remove all of that friction and that paralysis by analysis. Let's devise a solution by surveying hundreds of property managers as to what they want, and then let's create it in a compliant structure and let's bring it to market. And that's what we did. And similarly, Rent Advance property managers said, hey, you like this risk? Would you ever advance money to small landlords? I heard it twice and said, sure. My background happened to be have a lot of experience with structured credit and consumer finance and asset-backed securities. So we said, sure, we'll do that, and we'll build it in a way that makes a lot of sense for all parties. So again, as the market continues to ask for certain things, that's our best way to build new products, is actually market need and people saying, hey, I really have this issue. Do you think there's a way you could solve it?
Yeah,
so that'll drive future product innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always very wise to listen to your customers, listen to the market, and try to understand what they're trying to solve for. And you had brought up this idea of, future products surrounding squatters and making sure that people are covered in those areas. The reality is the property management world really is full of the what ifs, right? And you kind of use that phrase, the what ifs that are out there. What if the eviction? What if a squatter? What if a huge maintenance item comes due? Things like that. And your services really are trying to get rid of that what if a little bit, right? Protect against those what ifs, making the property manager more sound in how they operate, but more importantly, protect those owners and keep them owning that property and actually encourage them to go find more properties, right? And grow their portfolio.
Yeah, and we found that actually with the Rent Advance product, we've had owners taking rent advances to then help, down payment on the next unit or make repairs so they can increase their rent. And a lot of property managers obviously are on a percentage base, so that's to their benefit to have that unit in better shape, or a patio was being added, etc. And so again, what we've really found is the only way we are successful is if our customers are successful, the property manager. And so we just really try to stay close to them and listen to their feedback and continue to iterate to help solve pain points.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, John, if as we come to kind of the end of this episode, if people want to learn more about owner benefit packages, what's the best way that they can educate themselves and really arm themselves to make a decision on whether this fits their business model?
Yeah, if they go to steadyrent.com, www.steadyrent.com, they can request more information. We'd be happy to have a member of our sales team walk them through the process. And I'm sure they may have heard of us already, but property managers all around the country are using us, and we have plenty of testimonials we can share.
That's great, John. Well, I really appreciate your time. Obviously, adding more services and products to our industry is what it's all about, right? We want to support this industry as best we can. So I appreciate you sharing your insights on these owner benefit packages. And thank you to our audience for listening to another episode. And until next time, keep going beyond rent.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Beyond Rent. If you enjoyed this podcast, spread the word on social media and with your peers in the industry. To be notified when more episodes are released, subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Beyond Rent is brought to you by Rent Manager Property Management Software. Learn more about Rent Manager's industry-leading software solutions at rentmanager.com. Until next time, keep going beyond rent.